Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Ladies Session Showcase with myself and my tag team partner, Mel Ball. How are you, Mel?
I am doing great. I'm probably not going to be doing great tomorrow because I'm feeling my leg day already, and that's never a good sign. But I'm having a fantastic day. My lipstick is matching my favorite gym outfit. It's been a good day and a good week, my friend. How are you doing?
Yeah, I feel like it's thankfully a good and productive day for me so far. And to start off, we have a local establishment. Hello, Astrid and Mel Ball. Happy Friday to both of you. Happy Friday. I'm guessing it's Puppy Bobby, most likely. Um, so we have Oh Hill Queen Astrid. He'll keep the hashtag alive and well. That's for sure.
You got
Uh,
to throw some crowns up then if you're a queen.
I never done it before, so.
You just
I,
did. Perfection.
Okay, there you go. 'Cause I'm terrible at the hearts thing. I'm like, I do the heart and I have to like, okay, got it. So it takes me a
Double
little while. Yeah, it takes me a little while. See, great guessing. Correct. There you go. It is Bobby. I had to
Hey.
be like, hey. Okay. So now we are all settled. I figure we have it's probably gonna be like a little short-ish kind of episode, but we wanted some things that we wanted to talk about that came up during the week that we couldn't,
Oh,
live
shizzle.
off without discussing. And first off, we had some comments from a laundry place, aka Medusa,
Mhm.
towards Trish Stratus. I'm guessing this is probably gonna lead to something else later on, but I like her comment itself was so interesting to me the way she pointed it out that I had to bring it up and talk about. I would say like what it's been like when it comes to like, Trish and going from the divas to from the divas to that woman's evolution that we had.
Mhm.
Um, so she said in her comments. Trisha set the woman back and turned them into a sideshow after all the work I did to get the woman respected and legitimize them as the superstars that they are. Do you really think I literally threw that title in the trash without a plan of longevity and meaning? Trish brought the blueprint that we used for decades that had to be undone by the women who were inspired by men and the women that came before her. Trish made room for the Bella twins and others, but I built a foundation of the four horsewomen. I do agree with the last part of like she built a foundation for the horsewomen because I understand that point of view. We know when you have come before the women that are there too, you are definitely one of the responsible people for building that foundation for what the women's division is right now. But the part I disagree with, on my end, is the part that she said that Trish set the woman back because to me, I feel like Trish and Lita came at a very interesting time in WWE because I know that the women were still treated like egg candy, but you can tell that they wanted more than that. And they wanted to like branch out and experiment. And their way of doing so was from being the eye candy to be managers and being involved in the storylines with the guys and being involved physically in the guys in the matches in there too, but also wanting to train to wrestle as well. So I feel like they wanted a little bit more than what the women had, and this was their way of doing so. And I feel like it opened the doors for the women to be those kind of like ballet positions. Because I know there was times of like the Bella twins, for example, as she mentioned, there were people that started as valets most of the time for other people. And they were like every time somebody came as a guest, they're the ones that, escorted them to the ring or escorted them backstage. So there were those kind of people that were always in the background until their time paid off and then they had the spotlight. So I feel like for me, Trish and Lita were those kind of people for me, at least when I was watching, that they wanted women to have different opportunities and it opened up that kind of opportunity wide open for all the ladies to be like, I don't have to wrestle. I can easily be just a manager, like people like Scarlett, who hasn't wrestled in WWE like that more too much. She's been
Mhm.
more of a manager role. And even Zelina, that I love so much, she's been more of a manager than a wrestler in WWE so far. I'm glad that now she's being more like she's wrestling more often, and I love to be able to see that. But we have people like, BFAP as well. It's another one that we always see. She's more like a manager that rather than wrestling, and even Maxine's another one. We see her more as a manager in the role. So I feel like it opens up the window for having more ladies being represented in the shows that aren't just wrestlers, and that's how I felt with it. Did you have like from what we mentioned of what she said? Did you have any other thoughts on that?
No, I actually agree with you specifically on the what you agree with and what you disagree with her. I do not, I do feel that Trish did kind of segue for the Bellas and that kind of stuff, but Alundra definitely did segue for the women who wanted to wrestle a little bit more. Trish and Lita, they did segue into the women's wrestling of today, where it was like they started to wrestle a little bit more. But like, I'm not gonna lie, when I think back, like in my personal memory,
Yeah.
I'm not sitting here remembering Trish Stratus or Lita for their wrestling, which is unfortunate because they were great wrestlers for that time. But the things that they did at that time, they weren't being remembered for the wrestling. Whereas like the women now, I mean, yeah, you can like in a few years, if Rhea Ripley comes and goes from WWE, like yeah, they're gonna remember her as mommy, but they're also gonna remember how strong she was and how she was doing a lot of intergender matches at this point, how she was not afraid to back down from the guys. That's something really unique to her. It's like it's like women's wrestling and wrestling in general is just like it goes in phases, natural phases where people are drawn to certain things more. It's unfortunate that like when we were younger, like you and I were younger, that the Trishas and Litas were, that kind of thing. When I was a kid though, like even younger, Alundra Blaze was that lady. It does feel like the 90s did take a dip. But I wouldn't necessarily say that Trish set women back. I feel like that's a little harsh, um, just because I don't feel that the women like they weren't really respected very well at that point. But I don't feel that they stepped back because if they stepped back, they would have struggled even more trying to gain the respect that they have today. And they did it pretty effortlessly. I don't know if a lot of that was Triple H's help or what it was in that situation, but yeah, I was a little disapproving of some of the things Alondra said here.
Yeah, and I feel like another thing is like why is Trisha one getting blamed? Like Trisha's not the only woman during this time that she was wrestling. You can think about so
Correct.
many other women that were in that roster around the same time that she was. So why is she getting blamed? I have no idea how that came about.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, Stacy Keebler, Tori Wilson, like even Kelly Kelly started coming in around that area. Like, yeah, these were not women who were, we again know for wrestling. We know them for that ballet work, and that's something in itself is something that's definitely being lost to the ages. I feel like WWE is starting to work a little bit better with bringing them back with Selena, but like I would love to see more of Scarlett. I just, as you mentioned, and like Scarlett herself is also a pretty accomplished wrestler. The fact that they're not banking on that is just, it smells Vincy. Smells Vincy.
Yeah, I love Bobby's comment here because it definitely like summarizes how I felt about it. It's just the editor era and Perv even said women's wrestling back and it's not the fault of
Mhm.
the talent. Yeah, it's just like it's when you think about it like a movie. If like the actor isn't acting very well in the movie, do you blame the actor or do you blame the director for not directing the actor in that certain way? And the behind
Mhm.
the scenes people that actually give the right orders to begin with. Um, and here Bobby saying Medusa's doing it to Trahi. She knows what she's doing. I feel like more than anything, it draws attention to her book, which for those of you that didn't know, she does have a book. Um, and I feel like it's a way of her like promoting it in that aspect and in talking about women's wrestling. So to get people talking about her, and then that that the consequence to that is checking out her book and the projects that she's doing. So I think it's just an interesting time to be talking about Trish when
Smart
Trish
marketing.
now it's going she's active in the roster. She's going against Becky Lynch sometime soon. I believe for Night of Champions, and even being there backstage. And you don't know if she's helping the younger girls that are backstage at the moment because she's been there for like the last couple of weeks, and she's been there a little bit
Mhm.
since before Mania started happening. And
Hmm.
it's probably saying I need to read that book. Yeah, I'm curious about the book as well. So maybe I'll read it sometime too, or listen to the audiobook, whichever I can find easier for me. But yeah,
Mhm.
just like I feel like it's interesting that she's saying it at a time when Trish is getting highlighted more in the main roster now and during Raw. And it's the first time, I don't know, since it was like the early 2000s that Trish got drafted, and Lita wasn't part of the draft, but Trish was. So it's something interesting to see, like she was part of that draft. And we don't know if she's going to be gone after her feud with Becky's over, or is she going to get involved with some of the younger ladies? Who knows? So I think it's interesting that she's saying it now that Trish is back on screen more than anything.
Mhm.
And obviously, like I said, the timing of the book as well. So I want to see what else happens from this. If Trish does coming back and replies back to her, or if Medusa's gonna keep kind of giving that not the same comment, but something that similar, like um, more or less. Um, but yeah, after that, I wanted to talk about because now at this point. it's been exactly a year since we last saw Sasha Banks and Naomi, aka Mercedes and Trinity. So I did want to talk about what it's been like for them this whole year now away from WWE. I feel like it's not often that we get women standing up for themselves in the way they did within the company. So I always admire them for doing so and for standing up for not only themselves but for women and women's wrestling in that aspect in the company. But thinking back of, I kept thinking of like ever since they left WWE, little things that I've seen them do, because I keep thinking of like the grand scheme of things of what it goes to moving forward, what it leads to. And I remember seeing them doing runway shows and modeling here and there. I think they were in like Year Fashion Week. We have Mercedes promoting the Mandalorian, winning the championship, and even Trinity now winning Impact and announcing her first pay-per-view match in Under Siege as well. So just thinking back of the year they've had, even though we've been missing them from the ring and missing them from their characters in WWE, and every time they we could thinking of how they could come back and kind of building that in our minds and kind of giving each other our hope that they will come back. But it's interesting seeing all the projects that they have done in the little time. I know that Mercedes has her company as well that she's always promoting. She's been training. Trin has been training. So I wanted to get your thoughts of like how is it thinking about it now a year later, how much they have done in that year they've been away from WWE, and I feel like it makes it feel like in a way like they were getting held back by being in WWE because they were not getting opportunities to do outside projects like the ones they did in the past couple of months.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you can certainly look at their careers before. Oh, Ed.
Yeah, I will not replace you.
You don't got to worry about that, sir.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, in regards to them, I mean, you can certainly like comparing before they left the WWE versus like after leaving the WWE, you can see the massive difference in their not even just their professional stuff, but in like their personal lives. It's not to shit on anything, but it definitely seems like they're happier, being out of that kind of environment, which was obviously not serving them in the way that it probably should have. Um, I really like to see, like, I like seeing them being out there and doing their thing. I'm really liking how Trinity was like so hush hush the whole year. It was almost like, I don't want to say that I forgot about her, but like she was so quiet that she would pop up in someone's picture and be like, "Oh right. What is she doing?" It was very very smart because it did create a little bit of a buzz, and then approaching her debut on Impact, people had been kind of, whispering a little bit online here, where is Trinity? What's she doing? She's supporting Mercedes. Is she going to be wrestling? Is she not going to be wrestling? Unlike Mercedes now take on that street. She was out there loud and proud about everything she was doing. She was all over her socials. She was showing who she was training with. She was showing that she was training. She was over in Stardom winning the IWGP Women's Championship, winning her first title defense, continuing to dominate, picking up a win over Hazuki and Azumi, two of the biggest stars in Stardom right now. Azumi being that high-speed champion, and Hazuki, I mean, she's just climbing that ladder. That woman gets better and better every time I see her. And then now she's also in the NJPW Strong Women's Tournament contest, which has its first set of matches on Sunday, where she, I believe, but I'm not good at the Spanish girl. What is her name? Stephanie Vaquier?
Vaquez, yeah.
How do you say it?
I think it's Vaquez, isn't it?
I don't know. It ends in an R, so I don't know what noise that makes.
I always forget what her last
I
name
rely on
looks
you for
like.
Spanish.
Oh, Vaquer. Okay, there you go. I kept seeing
Vaquier?
an Z instead of an
Yeah,
R.
I was right. Yay, I was right. Yeah, and then also Momokogo from Stardom, who Mercedes I don't think is tangled with yet. I don't suspect that we're going to see them tangle in the finals, but still going to be an incredible opportunity. Mercedes also, as you always mention, because you love this so much, her showing up to the Mandalorian with the IWGP Women's Championship and having like a tug of war with Rosario Dawson. maybe I'm just not paying attention, but like, when was the last time you saw a champion from one of the companies doing a project like that and actually going onto a red carpet with their championship title? Like, we've seen Bianca and Becky when they were at like the BET Awards, I think, or some kind of music awards or
Yeah,
something.
to me, they always, when they do red carpet appearances like that, it's not for something they have done. It's usually something that's related to the network. So, like you said, it could be a movie like that, and all of a sudden they come out as champion, but they're not involved in the project itself. They just got invited to walk the red carpet.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's why I
distinctly.
like, yeah, that's why I like the Mandalorian one. To me, it's like extra special because if you think about it, this is Mercedes' moment, and she's doing that too. And like I said at the time too, she had an appearance here in MegaCon in Orlando, and with her Q&A, she sat down at the couch with the Q&A with the championship next to her.
And
And I
equipment.
think about that doesn't really happen when it's their own project. Usually they get invited to a record, like I seen Alexa Bliss at the Country Music Awards, but she's not the one singing, she's not the one performing there, you know. So it
Mhm,
doesn't have the same vibe to it, and it just I feel
mhm,
like it's extra special when you're part of that project. You're one of the main stars of the project, and she gets to hold the championship like the way she did in that appearance.
mhm. Yeah, like, I feel like that was something that has been kind of lost to time. Like, maybe I'm wrong about this, but I feel like I remember like seeing like late night television and stuff with a lot more champions on it. Like, when there was a new champion, they were brought on to a talk show or something like fairly quickly to help advertise WWE and stuff like that. I mean, that was pretty smart marketing in my personal opinion. I mean, and arguably that was the biggest kind of high time of professional wrestling in recent memory until recently. Um, yeah, very interesting situation here.
Yeah,
I
and I
really,
like that you said
again,
that too, because they kind of did something similar after WrestleMania. The day after WrestleMania, they had to fly them back to Good Morning America to show off some of the champions there. So
yeah,
it's interesting, like you barely see that, I feel like, nowadays, but because it was WrestleMania, they got the opportunity to
yeah,
do it. So
yeah. I'd like to see that again. Like, even if it's just like, just a late night television show or even just a quick like news interview or something. I'd like to see that again. Just because it added to the excitement and it was extra marketing. Maybe someone who'd never seen professional wrestling before would see someone like Rhea Ripley again on television, all full gimmick with a championship over her title, and suddenly they're interested in professional wrestling. I mean, that's how it works.
yeah. Another thing that I wanted to point out, because as most of you know, I cover Impact. I'm making an Impact on Thursday nights, but Mel here doesn't watch Impact as often, so I wanted to get
Yes.
her point of view on this. Because another thing that happened yesterday was Trinity's debut in Impact Wrestling. It
Mhm,
was her versus Kylie King. My overall like summary of it was, I feel like it was such a good pacing to the match in itself.
mhm.
I feel like they had a good chemistry. And
Yes.
one thing that I love more than anything, and I said it during the show, I'm like, I'm glad it was not Taylor Wilde, because I feel like this was either way with the Lost. It was a great showcase for Kylie King as a young talent in the company,
Mhm,
versus I feel like it would have had the same vibe if Taylor Wilde had been involved. Would
mhm.
have done without her beat at ringside, that's for sure. But overall, I loved the match, and I was so surprised when I saw earlier today they had uploaded just the match itself to the YouTube channel
Yes.
there. I was very, very surprised about that. But I'm glad it was like you and I talk about often. It's very smart marketing. A lot of people are gonna want to see just that match and not the rest of the episode. So I feel like it's just
Mhm.
a good way to kind of gain that audience and have people subscribe to their channel by uploading just a match on the last night that Trinity had. But
Mhm.
now that you had the opportunity to watch it, what did you think about it? Now that it's a whole year later, so that's another thing. Like I was thinking about, she hasn't wrestled in a year. She's been training, of course, here and there, but hasn't wrestled in a year. So
Mhm.
do you think that that affected her during the match, or did you not feel anything? Like it didn't seem that way.
No, I really, really enjoyed this match, actually. I felt it was a really, really tremendous women's, wrestling match. With the back and forth with them, they were actually pretty even. It was very much of like a Killing King would get some stuff off, and then suddenly Trinity would come back, and then King would stop her, Trinity would come back, King would stop her, Trinity come back. Forgot how unique and fun Trinity's, move set was with all the little flips and the it's gonna funny saying this, all the butt stuff. You know, I'm used to saying that with Taguchi because he kind of throws his butt around too, but like Trinity's butt's a little nicer to have thrown at you, right? But yeah,
Mm,
I really enjoyed her outfit too. Very
yeah.
fun and unique. I'm not gonna lie though, it kind of reminded me of a Powerpuff Girl, and I absolutely lived for it. She reminded me of Buttercup, and man, was she
Oh
hitting
my.
like Buttercup. Buttercup's the mad one. So she was just going hard.
Mm,
Really, really fun match though. I did enjoy that Wild was interfering so much that she got herself thrown from ringside. Haven't seen that happen in a really long time because I'm used to the Japanese guys just going, "Hey, what are you doing? You hit that person with a chair. Don't do that." I'm used to that kind of
yeah.
lack of control over what's happening in the ring there. So yeah, I felt this was a really solid debut match. The commentary was taking away from it a little bit when they started bickering with each other and not paying attention to the match. Um, Completely irrelevant to the point here, though.
Mm,
The ending was fun too. Yeah, I know you didn't really want to mention the challenge afterwards, but like
mhm.
I do. That guy
Yeah, yeah.
sucks. Like I don't know where these people are not getting their acting nowadays, but holy heckin' crap. Natty's
Yeah,
got some competition for worst acting in professional wrestling in that. I'm just saying. I love Natty to death, but
yeah.
she's the greatest in-ring female wrestler I've ever seen in my life, but she couldn't act her way out of a paper bag, and neither could this guy. And let's not get started on his like poor verbiage. An autocorrect would have had a freaking heyday with that guy. Now that I've complained about him, Giselle Shaw, she's gonna
Yeah.
have a lot of fun with that match. That's gonna be a
Mhm.
really, really great match. Giselle Shaw is on fire right now, and such an
Yeah.
entertainer. That girl, she's gonna have a killer match with Trinity.
I feel like it's a good timing because she was just in Amazing Race, which is something that Cody didn't know about. He was wondering what should happen after from TV. So her and Gil Kim have been in Amazing Race, so I feel like it will be a good timing to promote that when the match is happening as well, because I feel like they haven't really revealed it on screen. So I think that will be interesting. But like you said, yeah, the part with Jade is why I didn't want to talk about it much because I didn't like his acting either. I feel like he definitely took too long to set up that slap, and like his facial expression just gave me like a big no. So I definitely didn't enjoy that part of it. The only thing I would take away from the match, though, I would remove her doing the rear view the way she does it because I don't like the rear view. I really don't. I really don't like the move. I just like
Butt
you
stuff.
hit me with your butt. Is that really supposed to knock me out? Because if it does, should I be concerned about your butt? I don't know. It just, yeah, I don't like it. But aside
Oh.
from that, it makes me think of like I love her little Matrix move where she moves like backwards like that 'cause she did it in the Rumble too. So it's like I miss seeing those little parts from her and her having fun in the ring. I know they posted later pictures from like the bruises and they both said this is why we're knockouts. And I love seeing that because you can tell that this was a match that she didn't have any restrictions on. If I would just told her, go out there and do what you do, don't worry about it. And
Mhm,
I love that they got a decent amount of time as well. It wasn't a match that ended in like 5 minutes. They had at least like between everything, I think like maybe 10 to
mhm,
15 minutes more or less. So I feel like they have enough time to develop that story between them. I'm probably gonna end up watching the match anyway again on the YouTube that they posted. So if you haven't watched it, then you go to Impact Wrestling's YouTube channel. They have it as Trinity's debut there, and I feel like they're doing great already so far with her promoting her for so many things.
mhm.
I know they have what the little brawlers thing, they little figures like that with her already, and she's so excited about seeing it.
Aw.
I'm just curious more than anything of how long she's going to be there because nobody has really said how long her contract is for. I know it's probably not a long-term contract, so that's what I'm curious about on that end. But I'm just hoping that she's there and she has enough time to really mix it up with most of the knockouts, having the Jordan Grace and then Deanna Purrazzo and even Tasha Steelz because I love my Tasha there. And
Mhm,
like be able to mix it up with most of the roster before she does leave.
mhm,
Because I would like to see that. I would like to see those matches that we haven't thought about even like could be a possibility because we kept thinking she's gonna be in WWE for until she's done. So I feel like now
yeah,
it opens the opportunity for more there. And I'm just hoping that aside from that she does get to be or like participate in other companies. It's not just
Mhm.
Impact. I know that Mercedes has also kind of hinted at that as well. She
Mhm.
said, I'm a free agent kind of thing. She only has, the contract with like certain amount of matches. But I love, them teasing that of like they don't know how long they're gonna be there for. Gives me hope that like they'll show up somewhere else in the future and then we'll go see more because I would like to see that happen.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'm just happy for her in the match in itself. I saw so many people were watching and they were really happy just because they were able to witness the match of hers at this point a year later. I feel like it didn't feel like she had been gone for wrestling a whole year. Like she didn't have any ring rust. Her speed was not affected by it whatsoever either. And I was like,
Mhm.
holy crap, this girl is amazing. Like a whole year and she still worked out the way she did. Um, and Bobby said she should come up with, is it Delmy? I always kind of mispronounce her name. I hope it's Delmy with the MLW sometime. But yeah, I feel like it gives us so many possibilities of like, now you could definitely have the dream matches coming up. I'd definitely like to see it like
Mhm.
Trinity and Mickey, or even Mickey versus Mercedes before Mickey does decide to retire. That's one of my matches that is on my list. So please make it happen sometime soon. Impact, I would love it. And like I would like to see imagine like Mercedes coming in at Impact and even going against Trinity or even going against Diana. And you never know when like the mix is there is what makes me so
Mhm.
curious and makes me want more from this. So I'm just excited for both of them. But yeah, this is like that's why I said oh I did it. Okay, Demi. Okay. I've been thinking of like Demi Lovato but with an L, so that's why I thought in my mind. So it's not bad. But yeah, unless you have anybody had anything else they wanted to discuss or you Mel, that you wanted to bring up, like this is all that we have for the episode today. I don't think you can think of anything else for the moment. Um, but I know we have a lot of things going on next weekend, especially with OLE. So if you can tell us where can people find you, what do you have going on in the next week or two or so? Because at this point, next week is going to be a busy one for wrestling. So
Oh, yes, yes. The next week is still going to be busy for us because Andre and I are still in the middle of the Best of the Super Juniors tournament. So we're like posting every couple of days, 2 nights, and we're still ending up with like hour and a half long videos. So we got to work on that. But that being said, you can also catch me on Astro Pizarro's thing here with Ladies Wrestling Showcase. And then you can also catch me on our local establishment with Paramindful. We have episodes every 2 weeks on Monday at 5 p.m. Mountain Time. The last episode that we just posted was a very fun one without the werewolf. Unfortunately, he was out, saving the world or whatever it is that he does for his real job or whatever. We'd had a fun episode with myself and Carl talking about portals, gateways, and the haunted island of Povelia. We had a lot of fun recording that one. What else do we have? Otherwise, you can just follow me on my socials. You can follow a Melball on Twitter at Collins Melball, and you can follow me on Instagram, TikTok, Mastodon, and Facebook at Melball Collins. So many things.
I will have to do that too to remember them as well. If I was
And there's only more
um,
coming out.
yes, most likely. For me, as my usual stuff is that you can find me on Tuesdays doing Taking Over with Ed as we discuss NXT. On Thursdays, making an impact with Cody, talking about Impact Wrestling. This weekend will be definitely a busy one. For now, I'm still pending on like certain things, but one is for sure. Next Sunday when we do have the show Battleground, Ed will be attending the show, so I had to bring a guest to do the show with me. So having none other than my great friend Ella J with me for that. So we will be talking about Battleground after the show's over. And aside from that, the same day as Not a Champions, I think it's the Saturday. Yeah, Saturday. So the 27th at 11 a.m. Eastern on our local establishment. Ed and I are going to be joined by Doc. So if you haven't heard of Doc, he's a writer for Bleacher Report. He's going to be joining us to do a preview of Battleground and give our predictions for the show. So we will not be doing another taking over. We will be doing a separate show for that from now on for a big PLE so we can have guests on and work with people that we want to work with from the community. So Doc is definitely one of them. But yeah, other than that, I do have an interview that I'm recording this weekend, and hopefully I'll release it sometime next weekend, depending how the editing gets done. But yeah, if you haven't yet, I would subscribe to our local establishment on YouTube and then follow on Twitch so they can get notified whenever we go live. We have Night of Champions coming up, Battleground coming up. We had Double or Nothing all next weekend, so we're definitely going to be busy between preview shows and post shows and all that stuff. So I would say I'm not gonna mention everything because I don't have the calendar with me right now, and I know that Bobby has to get that done sometime soon. But I will
Yeah.
definitely subscribe to the channel because there's definitely a lot going on next weekend. So it's gonna be exhausting but fun and rewarding at the same time, as I like to say. Um, but yeah, if you haven't yet, you can also follow me on my Twitter, which is Astrid Pizarro, and my Instagram is Astrid Pizarro 20. So every time any one of the shows I'm on, I'll definitely be announcing it. I know they will have a Night of Champions post show as well. We have another Champions previous show that I'll be recording with Adam Parrish sometime next weekend as well. So definitely a lot going on. Um, yeah, double. Now you don't know that it's double or nothing. I know Bobby's gonna be doing double or nothing with Lauren as well, so that's gonna be exciting. He's an AW guy now, instead from MLW. So if you haven't checked that out, you'll be getting that next week. um, but yeah, we definitely have a lot going on. And then I know Friday it'll be Under Siege from Impact Wrestling as well. So I know we won't be going live to talk about it, but we'll definitely discuss a little bit of it on Thursday as we do make it an Impact. So a lot of wrestling going on next week. It's gonna be exhausting, but super fun.
We
So
love
I'm
it.
definitely excited for everything that's happening. But I want to thank everybody for being here with us today. If you haven't yet, this will be released on Sunday on the podcast platforms. And yeah, and then it'll be later replayed on Backbreaker Media. So thank you, Mike, for allowing us to do that. We actually hit 700 subscribers on Backbreaker Media on the YouTube channel. So good job to, I would say, Cody and myself, Mel and Andre, because we're the ones getting featured in the most.
Yay!
Um, but yeah, thank you, everybody. And then we'll see you next time.